Hey everybody, this is Zoltan, and we are in episode 12 of our Milan Juniors Road to Glory. This will be our final episode. If you go back and if you haven't had a chance to see the first 11 episodes, you're going to see quite a bit of interesting strategies of how to improve a team. Just to make it challenging, we started with a one-star team. This team I stripped down to the very core of just a few youth players, and the storyline was that Paolo Maldini brought in his son Daniel, who is in the game, and a bunch of youth players from Italy, and we started in the second division, Serie B, in Italy, and worked our way up. Finally, we are now in season 3. We have made our way to Serie A, and I think we have a pretty good team. So you can go through and you see a lot of things that we've done just to get where we're at today, but I'm going to do a little recap here of some of the basic strategies. And what we're looking at here are some players in our youth team. These are players that just automatically, many of them are regions, and the game just basically adds these players in at age 16 and just puts them directly into the youth team. So you can see there are several guys here who are basically retired players, but you can see many of them have a real face. So you can go through here and just see anybody that you like at this time, or you can just kind of wait, and they will actually naturally grow as the months go by, and then you can sign them later. So let's just do a recap of some of the things that we've done here just recently in the beginning of this transfer window. We can look here at listed players. I did bring in a couple of defensive players here, a center back and a right back here, and we have one more center back that I just recently signed. And so that kind of helps to shore up the defense a little bit, and let's look at what the team looks like now. So we're going to go over here to game plan. And as you can see here, our team is much stronger than it was before, and one of the key things that really makes the team quite a bit better is the chemistry. As you can see, everyone has kind of an orange glow behind them because they now fit the team chemistry and the instructions from the manager. Our chemistry now is at 90, so it's just kind of remarkable what a difference it makes. I think that this is even more important than who you have on the team. And it all just kind of happens automatically as you play a couple of seasons. The team just naturally starts to gel together, and it just opens up all the passing lanes, and a lot of things start becoming a lot easier when you're in chemistry like this, above 80, 85. 90 is outstanding. So we've added a few of these players here through some of the methods that we went over in the first 11 episodes. And basically the process kind of goes like this. We bring somebody in from the youth team, and I'll show you an example of how to do that. So there's several players here. Most of them are basically regions, and they're all 16 years old. So if you look at their first annual salary, my salary budget, as you can tell, I'm always kind of dealing with low salary to deal with, so I'm going to go down to, this will actually be the maximum that I could get at this point. It's a set amount. I can't negotiate. So I could bring in this 70 overall center back and just simply sign him here, and it takes a day for him to actually come in, but I just barely have enough salary budget for him to join the team. The good thing about this guy is as he grows, he will eventually, his market value will go up, and we'll be able to take a look here at his release fee, which is kind of the most important number, which is 14 million. You can see that down there at the bottom. Eventually, his market value actually will not start at 15. It's going to be somewhere probably more closer to about 10 or 11 million. And then as you play with him for a few months, he'll get up to maybe 71 or 72 overall, and then you can sell him for that amount. That will free up your salary once again, and it will give you money into the transfer budget. As you can see, I have 13.6 in my transfer budget right now. So let's see, one of the things that we typically will do is we'll go into scouting. This is a great way to bring in a player that is kind of at a discount. So it's a lot better than just simply going out into the open market. You can get players here who have a real face, like this guy, for example. If I wanted to bring him with a transfer, I could afford it. It's 8.3. The problem is his annual salary is 1.3 million, and I just don't have that. That's always seems to be the thing holding me back from signing a lot of new players. But this would be a good way for me to get a young player. He has room to grow. 11.7 million release fee gives him, if he goes up 1 or 2 overall, he'll eventually hit that number. And then I either have to re-sign him in order for the release fee to go up, or I could sell him at that point and just kind of make a little profit. But again, the problem is I don't have enough salary, because one of the things that I've been doing is bringing players in who were expiring contracts. And that's a good way to beef up your team a little bit. I did add a couple of players. Give you a couple examples of who just came in this transfer window is Wijnaldum. That was a pretty good deal there for me. I didn't have to pay any transfer fee. I was just able to bring him in on an expiring contract. And also Ulrich, that was another one that was expiring contract. So it's not a huge amount. There's usually a few players, a handful of players that are in the high 70s, low 80s, and then it just kind of tapers off from there into the mid 70s, which isn't really going to help your team too much once you get into the higher levels. But it's a good way to add a couple of players to the team, and then you can possibly sell them after playing with them for a year or something. But it's a pretty good, well-rounded team. Most of my players are now in the high 70s, low 80s range, my starting players. So I think this would be definitely a competitive team in Serie A. If we look in comparison to some other teams that are here, these are the teams. Milan Juniors, that's us. We're currently a 4-star team with our overall at 77, 78, and 75. This team also recently transferred in, got promoted from Serie B, and this one as well. So these are the kind of the low level teams. But most teams are in the 4, 3.5, 4, 4.5 star range. But we want to be able to compete with Juventus. Obviously, is way above everybody. But to be able to get to 4.5 stars, I think would be really great. If we can try to compete in the top 6, would be awesome. Once again, remember, if you go back to the first episode, you'll see we started out as a 1-star team. So for us to be able to work our way up just after 2 full seasons to this point, where we're actually a very competitive Serie A team at this point, is pretty remarkable. If you go back and look at the episodes where we step by step brought in some new players and just continued to improve. But this last thing that I'm going to show, and that's the reason why this is going to be our last episode, is a little bit of a cheat. I think it's kind of unfair, but it really puts you over the top, especially if you have some holes in your lineup that you really want to improve. This will definitely be a surefire way of changing your team quite a bit. I do have a few players that are currently up for sale, so I can just quickly look at. These are players that I brought in who are 16-year-old players from my youth team last year, and I did play with them for a year or so, and now I have put them on the transfer list, And I have some teams here who are looking, as you can see, teams in contact with some of these lower level players. But this is a good way for me to bring in, let's see, about 10 million, 11 million for some of these guys who came in off of the youth team a year ago. If you go back a couple of episodes, you'll see when we brought them in. And I just had to pay a salary of 200,000 or so, 223,000, and now they're ready to be sold at 11 million. So this is really a great way to just kind of add another 10 million or so, 15 million each time you make a sale to increase your transfer budget. But again, your salary budget is always the issue that makes it difficult to add more players to the team. I do currently have the budget settings to funnel everything into the salary budget and also pay everything out of the transfer budget. So this last little thing I'm going to show you here is a way for you to use the rest of your money in your transfer budget when you run out of money in the salary budget. So really what it comes down to is doing a quick search here of players that are on the loan list. Now the problem with this is it doesn't really give you a full number of people. There's, let's say this guy is kind of the highest that I can go, a 1-year loan, 14.5 million. It says the club is not impressed so far, so I would probably have to offer more than this. Even if I went all the way to the furthest I can go, it's like 23 million. I don't have that much, so this doesn't seem like a really good option to get some of these guys on the loan list. As you can see here, here's another one, is also beyond what I could afford at this point, and they're not impressed either, so I would have to offer more than what initially was popped up there. So I don't really see any reason for me to bring in a young player on the loan list anyway. I'm just doing them a favor really by playing them and increasing their abilities, and I'm actually paying for it, so that doesn't help me too much. What really would help, and this is kind of the glitch, is don't look at the loan list, but just simply look at the age. And this is the glitch here that I think really makes a big difference, is go up to players that are 33 years of age or older, and now you'll get a pretty good list here. For example, some of the big stars are a little bit expensive. If I wanted to try to get Ronaldo, 24 million, but I'd probably have to offer more, maybe 38 million, and that's just money down the drain. That's just my 1-year loan fee. So it doesn't seem like such a big glitch here. It's not such an attractive thing to do because I don't have that much money. 72 million for a 1-year rental of some of these superstars. But if you go down to some players that are unusually old and should have already retired, let me find an example like Ibrahimovic. He is 40 years old right now. You want to check to make sure his stamina is not outrageously low, or his speed. As you can see, his speed and acceleration is really bad, but he's really just kind of a stand in the front of the box kind of guy. He's a post player, so you don't really need speed too much with him. But he still has all of his other stats here are pretty good. His physical contact, he's obviously really strong and he's tall. He's good at headers. He's very aggressive. Great finisher. This is just, for a 1-year loan, you might think, okay, maybe he's like 15 million or something. But because he's so old, they're only asking for 1.1 million. Now, this is it right here. This is the thing you have to do your search. They're not impressed, so I can't offer this right now. Otherwise, they'll just reject it and the whole negotiations will be finished. But if you go all the way to the right, they're probably not even going to take this. They'll ask for more. But even if they ask for 2 million, it's certainly worth it because it's just a 1-year rental, basically, for a loan for a world-class striker. The reason that this is such a great deal is because that $2 million that I'm going to have to pay for him is less than what they're paying for him for his yearly salary. I don't know, why they would be paying me for using their player, basically, giving me such a good deal, but that's kind of the glitch. And you can go through and you find players who are particularly old. Cellini is another example. They're only asking 1.5 here. If I push it all the way to the right, it's just 2.4. Because they're not quite impressed with my team so far. So that's another good one that I can offer. I can get a world-class goalkeeper here, 85 overall, but he's 37 years old. And it doesn't matter to me how old he is. Even if he retires, that's fine. He's not really my player. I'm just using him for 1 year. And again, look at how low his transfer fee is. So I can just kind of ask for about $3 million for this guy. And let me add one more center back. Let me find somebody here that is kind of old. Here's an 84 overall. He's 37 and also pretty cheap. Now the thing is, if you go for somebody who's even just a few years younger, or you just get unlucky. I mean, here's a guy who's 33. I can't negotiate right now anyway, but if I were to show you some of these players who are just 2 or 3 years younger are just off the chart. They're like 25 million for a 1 year loan fee. So you really have to get the unusually old players. And I'm just going to advance here. I'm going to skip the national team manager offer that was just offered to me. And we're going to have to go forward 3 days to see what type of response we get. Now, some people may actually reject completely. Here's a good news. I got my newcomer is coming in. This is my guy that I just got out of the youth team. And I don't really need to check this, but it will at least tell me how much he's worth. So he's down here at the bottom. He's worth 10.9 million. So right away I've just increased the value of my team because I can use this guy a year from now to do the very same thing, sell him, and then use that income to be able to go out and get more players, either buying somebody that was scouted, because scouting is a good way to bring in younger players that are a discount because they came in through a scout. But if you just don't have enough good players because you don't have enough salary budget, then you can do this, and you can advance here and try to bring in a couple of old players that will fill your holes and increase the value of your team tremendously, really. If I'm able to bring in these 4 world-class... All right, so I got an offer for somebody, so that'll be a little bit more income. This was a guy that I had off of my youth team last year, backup goalkeeper, and I did actually play with him a little bit, so he increased in value a little, and I'm just going to go ahead and accept this and add a little bit more money to my transfer budget, and I also get a little bit money back in my salary budget as well, so that I can eventually bring in more youth team players again this season. So if I go forward one more day, this will show me the results of these 4 world-class players that I'm trying to bring in on loan. All right, let's see the results. And pretty much what I'm expecting is everyone asked for a little bit more. So I'm lucky that nobody rejected me completely, because sometimes that does happen. But here we've got 4 players that have all asked for a little bit more. And remember, I offered the max. So, and this one's kind of surprising. He asked for an extra 876,000. That's a lot. But let me go ahead and start accepting these and watch my transfer budget start to whittle away. But the remarkable thing is the amount of money that I'm spending on these 4 players is less than the cost of even just one youth team player that I just signed for a salary budget of about $300,000. All right, so this brings me down to about 3.5 million. And I think that what I'll do is do a quick search here and see if there's anybody else out there I can go ahead and... I know David Silva is quite old, but that would be a huge boost to my team. But yeah, I'm going to have to sell somebody else before I can buy him, because he's 4.7 million right there, and I think it would be probably over 7 ultimately, because you have to go all the way to the max. But that would be one of my next targets, so I can put him on my list. Another good guy would be, if I want to beef up my left back, I know Matuidi here is 34. This is a pretty good deal. So I don't have enough right now to make that offer, but I can put him on my list and see if I sell some players and try to bring him in. But you know, it's just hit or miss. Like even this guy is a little bit older, but 10.7 million is a little bit too much. So you really have to hunt around, because I don't have 17 million to spend on a 1-year transfer for this guy, and it just doesn't bother me at all to bring somebody in who's a couple years older, because you know, what does it matter to me what his age is at this point? Even this guy, for example, I just brought in, he's 37 instead of 33, but you know, as long as he's not, his stamina is still 81, speed is fine. Look at those defensive numbers, are quite outstanding. It doesn't really matter to have a center back who's 37. It doesn't hurt your team at all. And I was able to bring him in for just a few million on a 1-year loan. So if I, you know, go forward one more day here, you'll see a cut scene where you'll probably see Ibrahimovic or somebody, maybe Cellini, will be walking in. That's Ibrahimovic. So yeah, this is where you play. You go back and forth, you kick the ball. Here's the coach. There you go. Okay, welcome to the team. And he's ready to go. So he's 40 years old, still playing. And so let's see if any other news came in. These are all newcomers. 4 new guys came in. And we can just quickly see. They want me to go through and check all these boxes. So let's see the difference. If I bring this, you can see now that that didn't really work. I should have had a totally different, should be a different attacking midfielder. Yeah, that was, sometimes when it does the auto, it doesn't really, somebody's totally missing. Yeah, why would they put the guy who's 74 and not even the right position? Alright. And that is not the right guy here either. It doesn't make any sense. Alright, so that is my team at this point. I've got some good young players on the wing. These are players that I actually own, and these guys are my attacking midfielders as well. These are not on loan, so they're young, they're going to improve, but I'd still like to add a little bit more talent. As you can see, we're starting to get, our defense is really strong in the middle here. We got some world-class players just added. I'd like to add another left back, maybe Matuidi. And if I could add David Silva at attacking midfielder, that would be huge. That would really make a difference. And let's see what we can do if we move forward a couple more days. Maybe we can sell somebody and try to bring in another player or two through the same method. But I think you're getting the idea that this is the way to really make a tremendous improvement on the team. So I'm hoping to get an offer for somebody, not scouting results. And sometimes you need to save and then just kind of redo it here because for whatever reason it just doesn't give you any offers for the players that you currently have on your list. And it can be tedious because really what I just need to do is sell one or two more players, and that will give me more than enough to... Yeah, they're being sticklers at this point. So the last time I did this, I got a little bit better results because I started getting offers right away. Sometimes it just skips over your players and it doesn't make any sense. Alright, so here we go. Now I got an offer for Uribe. And of course you can haggle. I probably didn't get a full price offer. 8 million. His release fee is 8.9, so I think that's a good deal. No reason to haggle. His market value is more, but because his release fee has been exceeded by his market value, there's nothing I can do. I pretty much have to sell him for this price. And so that boosts my transfer budget back up to 11.5 million. And that should give me enough to make an offer here on David Silva. 7.5. I should still have about 4 million left. And why don't I go ahead and offer Matt Tweedy as well, just in case I sell somebody else along the way. So it takes 3 days usually to get a response. You can set it up to advance 5 days here and then you get an answer right away. But I'm trying to trigger another possible sale as I still have a couple more guys on my list. I still have a few more days here before I get my first opening day. Alright, so here we've got exactly what I wanted. I got a couple of players on my list that have been receiving offers. And Nolito, I think that's a fair offer. I could probably haggle another 500,000, but his release fee is also below his market value, so that's why I pretty much have to accept this the way it is. And the other one is center back. So this one I could probably haggle a little bit. His market value is 10 million and his release fee is 17.9, so there's no reason that I shouldn't be able to get a little bit more for this guy, so I can maybe ask for about 9 million. 9.3. In the meantime, that's probably going to give me a little bit more money, so I could probably go out and maybe even bring in one more loan. Negotiations with David Silva and Matt Tweedy have both been successful. They just asked for a little bit more money. But because I made those one sale and I got one pending on the way that I'm still renegotiating, I should have enough here. Almost. Do I have enough? Let me see. This will bring me down to 11.2. And Matuidi, oh my gosh, can you believe that? Isn't that ridiculous? So I have to wait a little bit here. I still need, anybody got 100,000 I can borrow? I could try to renegotiate a little bit. I don't know what would happen, but I might as well just wait a couple of days because I will have this coming in. I should have another 10 million coming soon. And I do have other possibilities that I could look for because I will have an extra 9 or so million left over. One person I had my eye on, I'm not sure, it may be unrealistic, is Vidal. He's 34 years old. And 7, yeah. Let's see if we could get him for that price. That would be pretty extraordinary. That'll really give me 2 really great center midfielders. One I already have, so what is this other thing? Scouting. I'm not doing any scouting right now. Well, I guess the Matuidi folks will have to wait until I get this deal to go through for that center back that I'm renegotiating. Hoping that I get a response here soon. Here's the cutscene for David Silva. And let's see, I got a newcomer notice, that's it. So here's critical that I get some kind of response here soon. I want to be able to get this done before the opening match, but it looks like that may not happen. Okay, I got a response. Good. So Wijnaldum, he's my other center mid that I just trained to become a captain, so that'll be helpful. The center back is this guy. So they went ahead and accepted that. So I guess it was definitely worth it to renegotiate. All right, so now I'm back up to 20 million again. I can go ahead and accept the Matuidi. Has Vidal come back with a response? No. But that'll be great if I can get him as well. I think I have enough. So we'll see what they come back with, but if it's within the range of 9.2 million, I should be able to add another really good center mid as well. Let's just go ahead and advance one day. So I don't think Vidal will be able to come in fast enough to start in my first match. So here's the cutscene for Matuidi. And, oh, here's Vidal. Okay. What is he asking for? Oh, not too bad. All right, so I definitely have enough for that. And now my transfer budget is down to 1.9 million, and my salary budget is at 938,000. Which is definitely enough for me to eventually bring in another youth team so I can start filling in. There's plenty of players here. I could probably bring in a couple of these guys and play with them for a year, and then eventually you can see the market value will be somewhere around this much once they go up a couple of overall. And next year I'll be selling these guys. Doing the same thing. That's a good source of income. So let's take a quick look here. If I advance one more day, Vidal should come in. And I think we'll probably have a cutscene. There he is. So that is going to be my new team. If we look, this will be the end here. Opening day, we'll make the fans proud. Alright, so I have 2 more players to add. Vidal just came in. And let's quickly look at our game plan. So you can look at our first contest here. We're quite a bit better than them. Bringing in these loaned players really made a big difference. And I think I can actually bring him in instead of Wijnaldum as my starter. And bring Matuidi up here. Alright, so that's much better looking team. I don't need this guy. And I'll use my right wing as a backup as well. So that's what we're looking at right there. Even just coming off the bench, most of my guys are either high 70s or low 80s. And if anybody's down here, oh, I still got this guy, David Silva. What am I doing? And let me bring him in. So, wrong place. So there we are. So that's our new team. Pretty world class. I've got a world-class goalkeeper, my 2 center backs, my center midfielder, and one of my attacking midfielders, and my center forward are all world-class players. Oh, my left back as well. So, I mean, this is a pretty extraordinary team that I just transformed in just the last 20 minutes. Plus a couple of good young players that are actually my players that I've gotten through my scouting. All of these young players here are probably going to continue to grow. And I've got a lot of really good young players off the bench that will continue to grow as well. So in comparison to a team like Sassuolo, you can look at them. I think we have a 96 chemistry. I mean, this is really going to be a cakewalk, to be honest. I'll easily be able to compete with all of the top teams. Juventus and Napoli and AC Milan and Inter Milan. I think we're going to be able to compete pretty well. And again, this is really just after 2 seasons from a 1-star team and just using every trick in the book to work my way up to, let's see, we're at probably at least I was hoping to get to a 5-star team, but we're probably still 4.5, but still 81, 82, 82. I mean, that's the only other team in the Serie A that's better than us, I think, is Juventus. The other teams here are still, we're very competitive. We're right up there with AC Milan. Napoli's a little bit better than us, but we're better, or probably similar to Roma. So yeah, there it is, the 1-star team diddling, who became Milan Juniors, are now a 4.5-star team after 2 seasons. So that's it. 12 episodes. You can go back and look every step of the way how we got to where we are today. And thank you.